Thank you, Tumi. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back on stage to talk about what's probably the biggest buzzword of our time, artificial intelligence. But truth be told, AI isn't just a buzzword anymore. It's already transforming how we work and what skills we need. Here in the GCC, which is at the forefront of AI spending and adoption, artificial intelligence is expected to add around $277 billion to the economy by 2031. This means major changes for today's workers and for the next generation entering a digital job market. The big question, though, is this: what will happen to our jobs? To try to answer that, let's take a quick look at what's happening in the world's biggest economy and the biggest adopter of AI. This is, of course, the United States. Just days ago, the New York Times reported that Amazon, which is the second largest employer in the United States, plans to automate 75% of its operations and cut about 500,000 jobs. Salesforce says AI is already doing nearly half of its workload, and CEOs from industry leaders like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Ford, and Walmart all admit that AI is rapidly reshaping their workforces, all this less than 3 years into the generative AI boom. So today our discussion is about readiness. How can the GCC prepare its people, its economies to stay ahead in this fast-changing AI-driven world? So to discuss this and more, please join me in welcoming Teresa Carlson, President of General Catalyst Institute, which you describe as an institute that aims to build resilience through transformative technologies by working closely with governments and innovators. And please join me in welcoming Alaa Saeed, who's the founder and CEO of Array Innovation, which is an AI and cloud-native digital solutions provider launched in 2024 with investment from the Bahrain Sovereign Wealth Fund. Thank you both for being here. Teresa, let me begin this discussion with you. And honestly, when I was trying to research this panel, I came across so many different papers regarding the effect of AI and on the jobs market. So I would like to refer to one paper, and not all the research is consistent. I would like to refer to one paper that was published by the World Economic Forum. They believe that the adoption of AI, robotics, and automation could displace 92 million jobs by 2030, while adding 170 million euros. So the net is positive, 78 million positive, but there's a but, and the but is it depends on the reskilling. So do you agree on that?
Well, I mean, yes, reskilling should be happening all the time. I saw this happen when cloud computing popped up. And anytime there's something new, we have to continually reskill our population. We are at a transformative time with artificial intelligence because it's like no other point in time that we've had. Technology is at a rate and speed of development that most of us can't really comprehend how it's happening. So in order for us to really absorb all that and show and have the productivity gains, we have to make sure that we're actually training people. And the training has got to start very early. You can't just start at one level and say, okay, we're one and done because we're retraining our computer scientists or engineers. You've got to train and teach people how to use those skills. And I see it today in large corporations. I sit on some public boards. People are struggling with how they want their employees to absorb and utilize AI. They're challenged with what's the corporate governance of all this. But the reality is it starts with leadership. And at the leadership level, we have to make an edict that says we are in the age of a new revolution called artificial intelligence. With that comes a new opportunity for training and rethinking how we utilize this. So we're going to have to do it from elementary school age all the way through university and at the companies themselves. And just like you saw with Amazon and Salesforce, there are going to be jobs that are displaced But I will tell you, even when I think about what I saw the article from Amazon where used to be there, and it doesn't surprise me too much because we've been, robotics have been happening for a long time, and now with the use of AI, you're seeing that move a lot more rapidly. So the answer is, from what we're seeing with all of our startup companies, and we have over 1,000 that we've invested in, most of our AI companies that are AI native, if you ask them, they say, we still need a lot of jobs. So there's a lot of jobs that are required to do the new world of AI.
But the biggest effect, are we starting to see the biggest effect in the white collar, among the white collar employees?
I think it's across the board. I think with white collar users, you're actually seeing them begin to utilize AI tools themselves. But the one thing I'll say is, in order to have real productivity gains, you have to get AI, I call it, in the belly of the beast. And what I mean by that, you have to have agentic use of AI within the enterprise. We still don't have prolific use across the board of AI in enterprise. It's it's around the edges. So because we don't have that prolific use yet, you're not getting all those gains. We're not seeing it. And you read all kinds of things about that. However, enterprises and governments are saying we will not have a competitive advantage unless we're using AI. So while we are still not getting all those productivity gains because we don't have full use of it across the enterprise, you are seeing adoption begin to gain because they understand without that adoption, they will not be competitively advantaged on the world stage, period.
Alaa, let's discuss a bit what Teresa just mentioned, that the reskilling needs to start from school. So some might argue we need to redesign schools. There needs to be a drastic change in schools away from the factory fueled model of schools. Do you agree with that?
I do, yes. Thanks very much for that question. I think we were discussing it briefly yesterday. And first of all, I completely agree with Teresa that we haven't yet had the agentic models implemented in the core workload or work stack, and that'll unlock a huge kind of productivity gain. But to get there, people need to be very familiar with it, and they need to be very familiar with the tools. And to really unlock massive gains in productivity, you do need to go earlier. And as we were discussing, I think there's a big opportunity in EdTech. Skills, we've got to remember that AI is coming into full adoption at a time when there's a huge skills shortage in any case. And so we do need to reskill people because around the world, across many industries, we just don't have enough of anything. And we haven't had enough of the kind of blue collar for quite some time. But we don't have enough of the high skilled either. And so AI can help us accelerate that talent, that knowledge gain, but we do need to start earlier. And I mean, that's something we're actually doing here in Bahrain. We're putting a lot of emphasis and focus on education technology. It's something that we as a company are investing in and building AI tools to help accelerate and give kind of personal tuition. Also importantly, in a way that retains our culture and identity as Bahrain. But I would say there's plenty of room, and you see these models coming out, these 2-hour school days, really heavy usage of AI, personalized tuition, personalized learning journeys, getting the skills that you need now, but then focusing on soft skills, finance, business acumen, things you'll need in life to complement that as well. So I completely agree. I think net AI will be job additive. I think we've never seen a disruptive technology create less jobs overall. The nature of the jobs will change. But to fully take advantage of that, the sooner we can start, the earlier we can start, making people familiar with the tools and technologies available to them, the better. Because we have to use it as if it's our phone in everyday life. It's nothing special. That would be a good adoption of AI, when it's just implemented and you don't even see it.
Well, and can I say one more thing, that we are going to use AI actually to teach and train. We're already seeing schools pop up that are 100% AI-led. Instead of a human leading the schools, it's AI-led with a teacher facilitating. And they're going quite well. I know lots of individuals now that have set up AIs to train their children on certain topics like physics. And the thing about these agentic AI tools, remember, they don't forget, they learn as you learn. So an LLM learns as you learn. So in an educational world, we're talking about actually retraining, but also we're going to be using AI to do that retraining. It's already happening. And I believe that we're going to see that really grow in the next 5 years. You're going to see an exponential growth around the world of AI tools being used for education.
There's one school in the United States, Alpha School. I remember I sat with the principal and he told me about 2 hours of studying through AI tools, and then the remaining of the day for the students is just life skills. So I told him, how do you know this works? And he's telling me because our students are going to the top universities in the United States. So maybe this is something that we should look at. Teresa, let's discuss the region in particular, and how do you assess the readiness of this region to embrace this new technology? We have seen ambitious plans. Saudi Arabia, just a few days ago, the CEO of the AI company Humane announced that they want to be the third largest provider of AI infrastructure in the world, not only in the region. We have seen heavy investments from particularly Saudi Arabia and the UAE, to a lesser extent in Bahrain and other countries in the region. So how do you assess the readiness and the ambitions of this region?
Well, first of all, I came to the very first Gateway Gulf Conference in 2018, so it's really great to be back here. And I, on a personal level, am a big believer in this region. I started coming here to actually create something new around cloud with AWS, back in 2013, 14. And now I'm so excited because I see Microsoft is here, and Oracle is here, and Cisco is here, just in Bahrain. So really, it's a lot of fun to see how the region has really developed in hyperscalers and technology companies coming into the region, because that was always a goal. It's really, you want to start something that you see flourish. So how is the region prepared, and where do they stand globally? I believe the Gulf could outpace anybody. Now, on the talent side, talent still needs to be developed, and I've been saying this for years in the Gulf. We need more investment inside the Gulf on talent and creating companies. And it's great to see Array. Array is a really great example of a company that's being created here and is looking to serve the Gulf, but then you also want companies to be created here, but then to scale regionally and to scale globally. So we still have to continue to do that work in the Gulf. However, let's start with what you need. You need hyperscaler data centers, which there's plenty of land here. They're already being created. You have investments from all of the large cloud providers and AI providers now coming into the region. So those partnerships are going to be really important, chip providers. There's wealth to do that. There's a need to do that. And there's a partnership. And if you think about where are most of these large companies, it's America. And America loves to partner with the Gulf. You saw it at FII, you see it here, you see it in the UAE, in Kuwait. So America loves to partner with the Gulf. So you have those partnerships. So data centers, check. Those can be built. Those partnerships can be built. You need energy sources.
Which is available here.
It's very available here. You have different types of energy sources, which is really important. You need telecommunications providers. You need all that networking. Check. You can have that. You have the capability to build it up. On the energy side, the other thing I'll share, there's a real opportunity. The US, President Trump, under executive order, has been pushing now the use of nuclear and small nuclear reactors. So you're going to see the opportunity now to create more small nuclear reactors, both here in Bahrain, in Saudi, and the UAE. The UAE already has ENIC, so there's already all those capabilities. Now let's build on those. What else do you need? You need a really great regulatory environment. And the reason I always loved it working here in Bahrain was how quickly they moved. And at AWS...
What exactly is needed for the region? Yeah.
What's the region?
From a regulatory perspective.
From a regulatory perspective? Yeah. Well, what you don't need is an overburdened regulatory environment. So when you set up a lot of red tape, that means slow. Slow. You do not want slow. In the world of AI, you need a fast-moving regulatory environment. How do you get there? You need leadership that says, I want this done. And the reason the Gulf can move so quickly is because of the government structure you have here. So I can't stress enough, a government structure that tells the team, go make this happen. You don't have multiple layers. You don't have all the red tape. Also, because you're younger, and the countries are younger, they also don't have a lot of this red tape set up already, so they have the opportunity to move faster. And I will say here in Bahrain, my experience is that is the reason that when I was at AWS, we built cloud regions.
No.
At General Catalyst, we are looking to come here now to set up new financial tech environments and other infrastructure because we just see that moving fast. So a non-burden regulatory environment, hyperscale data centers, partnerships with the key tech providers, telecommunications and water, you need cooling systems. You have all that here.
Alaa, quick question. What would you add to that list? What are the priorities that governments should have in Bahrain or whether in the region?
I think people. I think Teresa covered all the infrastructure, but I would re-emphasize on the talent side and the people by having companies like Array here and others in the region, all the investment in Saudi and the UAE, we are now building high tech in the region, probably for the first time. And so we're attracting talent here and we're developing talent here, and even excellent talent that comes out of the universities previously wouldn't have had anywhere to go. And so after a number of years, they kind of lose that edge, and the space moves so fast that unless you're hands-on within a couple of years, you're kind of old news, right? And you've lost the skills. So people, and I think we do a lot here in the region on reinvesting in talents. You heard His Excellency the Minister of Finance talk earlier about Tamkeen, the labor fund, and how there is a circle in the private sector kind of helping retrain and contribute back to Bahrainis here. I think they've trained around 150,000, 160,000 students so far. And there are many training institutes that have been set up, and I would just say, a policy of pushing people into STEM at university level, getting them into kind of maths and science and engineering earlier on and focusing on that skill set would be key. And the framework around privacy and ethics. As we build these technologies, we need a really robust framework around privacy and ethics.
And the biggest talent shortage in Bahrain is in what? Coders?
The coders are definitely in short supply. But what's very encouraging is that at the university level, we're getting very strong talent. So we have a strong preference to hiring at the university level, and we've seen 20,000 applicants in the last 12 months, an okay number. And so I could say at the university level, it's in strong supply, and it's growing. They're expanding all the university classes to do with coding across pretty much every university here.
And probably that would be the competitive advantage of Bahrain regarding its pool of talents in this industry. Thank you both for your insightful conversation and discussions, and thank you for attending this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.